Jared to jump on, and then we'll get things going. If anybody is on the call already, say hi. And as soon as Jared gets here, I'm going to roll the tape. I don't have a playbook. I'm freestyling profiling. My name is Joe McCord, and this is West Coast Faithful. Let me put on my nice Balmain Tigers hoodie here. It's going to be lit. Give me a second. Oh, we are late. We're late to the party today. Where are you? Oh, we got 8 people. Who's here? Oh, everybody jumping on. What do we got? Naden at 14 rip. Oh, I haven't even checked the team list yet. Yes, it is a big week here in West Tigers land. I don't know where Jared is. I'm going to hit the music and we're going to just start talking crap. Let's go.
Fuck off.
Playing the music. All right. I'm going to play the music now, okay?
Turn your camera on, Joe. West Tigers Faithful episode, I think it's 35, might be 34. I just looked at it, but I've forgotten. Nonetheless, we are here. As you can tell, it was obviously the bye week, because by the sounds of things, I've been on the drink the entire week because I've forgotten my lines. Joe McCord, how are you?
Yeah, good. Aside from, I've got some medical issues with the pipes downstairs, but aside from that, we're good.
Well, that's good to hear. Where did you get that hoodie?
Fell off the back of the truck.
Yeah, I mean, off the back of the Best and Less truck?
No, this is official licensed merchandise, mate. Like this is the Balmain Tigers, like, you know, iconic jersey and hoodie form. Freaking sick.
Phenomenal.
It was like I realized I was going live and I didn't even have a hat on, and like I was like lurching around my bedroom. So as you can see, I'm actually at home, and I couldn't find my hat, but I found my hoodie. So the real reason that I'm wearing this hoodie is because, you know, I'm an insecure bald man.
Right. How was your West Tigers-less week?
Look, man, it was pretty good. I, you know, got back to some old hobbies. I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077. What a game!
I can't say I've ever played it.
Oh, man, look, I mean, people might remember when that game came out, it got slammed because it was full of glitches and buggy and stuff like that. That's probably just because it's such a crazy monumental undertaking. You know, it's such a massive game. And now 5 years on, they fixed it. So it's like one of those, you know, AAA games that kind of sucked at launch, but they've like slowly but surely just kept rolling out patch after patch now. And I waited 5 years to play it. So I've only ever played the best version of it. It's like, it's made by the same company that made The Witcher 3, you know, that game.
Ah, yes.
And it's set in like the future, and it's a bit like a Grand Theft Auto, except, you know, less about crime and more about like just interesting futuristic shit. Grand Theft Auto of the future. Cool game.
It was a very detailed answer for what you got up to this weekend. Respect.
Because I've been playing it non-stop, man. Like, it's like engrossed my life. So like if you know, have you ever played an RPG so much that like when you put it down, you feel like you're actually in an RPG? Like I'll walk up to like doors and I'll feel like I need to press X to open the door and shit.
No.
You never? Well, that's what this game does to the brain. It's that immersive. Hello, Imagine. Hello, Jay. Hello, Phil. Good to have you here and everybody else who's listening. Chuck your comments in. Say goodbye to Lachlan Galvin in the comments. All right, Reedy, let's start the show.
Right. I've got one question for you, and I guess that'll probably kick off about 45 minutes worth of chat. What does the following statement mean to you? West Tigers have made a decision to not select Lachlan Galvin in any grade. He has also been excused from training commitments this week.
Well, it means that they're probably going to announce his release tomorrow.
How does it make you feel?
Oh, is that what the question was?
Yes, so.
It makes me feel like slightly annoyed, I guess. Like mostly that like it's just another really unusual thing that the West Tigers have to do. Like, what kind of press release is that? Just don't name him. I don't get it. Like, why do the West Tigers are like, you know, the freaking Real Housewives of the NRL, isn't it? Like, that's what our club is.
Yeah, it's certainly a soap opera, and one that I am glad is reaching its apex. Nonetheless, look, for me, it's one sentence on a team list. I think everybody knew what was going on, but I think it was more the club just saying, okay, all right, he's alive, but
He's alive.
he's asleep in his Oran Park home until he, signs with Canterbury. Mate,
Lord knows what that means, Adrian. I don't understand why they just wouldn't name him. What are they? It must have something to do with the bullying allegations or something, right? Like,
I think it's probably more to do with the fact, mate, that he's been put in cotton wool because both parties want this transfer to happen.
yeah, but why make a press release announcement about it?
It wasn't a press release. It was stuck on the back of the Team List Tuesday article.
Okay.
It was just a statement. There was nothing more than that.
It's weird.
It was just simply where's Lachlan? Well, we'll tell you where he is. Everybody else knows it, but nonetheless, here it is. Look, I know that you have more thoughts than me.
Oh, what a shitty team list.
I know that.
What is that shit?
I know that you will want to say a few things about the LG situation. So if you want to tee off, feel free, and I'll let everybody know that we are in fact currently live casting on all our social medias.
Yeah, sorry, I just got like overwhelmed with like, what the fuck is that team list? Like, are you serious? Charlie Murray is named on the extended bench. Like, when I was going through the New South Wales Cup like review last week, he was the one player I pointed out as like not good, and they put him on the extended bench. What are they doing? That guy can't run through freaking tissue paper, man. He's like so. Oh man. Oh, anyway, Brent Naden at 14 again too. Oh, and none of the injured players have come back. None of them. Oh man, the whole bye week and we couldn't get one more player back on the field. Heath Mason at 6. Oh. Anyway, Lachlan Galvin. Look, my opinion on Lachlan Galvin is that this whole thing, as always with the West Tigers, got massively blown out of proportions. It's like a young dude who, like, quite simply played this whole thing embarrassingly. I don't really think the West Tigers did anything wrong the whole time. I feel like, I mean, maybe like a few little like strategic miscalculations in terms of the way that they were. If the goal was to try to keep him, maybe you could argue they made a few strategic miscalculations, but like only because he and his team put us in such a ridiculous situation. He's been asking for a release since before he even debuted. The first time they asked for a release was like before round 1, 2024. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I think if I could actually cast, like, obviously I rate the kid and I've been raving on about him since midway through 2023. Like, I was calling for his debut in round 1 back in mid 2023. So I think the kid's got talent. When Phil Gould came out and said he was the best young player he's ever seen, I agreed. Um, I've backed up on that claim now because of how he's been playing lately. But who knows? Maybe he just goes to the Bulldogs and kills it. All the power to him from that perspective. I'm just glad it's over. Like I just wish that I don't know, man. Like, I just wish this sort of stuff would stop happening to this club because it's so unnecessary. Like, what's next? That it's going to happen with Bulla. It's going to happen with bloody Talon. It's going to happen with what's Luai going to like actually, formally, activate his get out clause? Like, what the fuck is going to happen next? Like, why can't that freaking NRL fraternity just like give us a fucking break? Like, seriously, that's what it feels like. I'm just at the point now where it's just like. It's just crap, man. Like the only people around the West Tigers that have had to, put up with this like continual like saga of bullshit, this continual reign of fucking terror that we've had to go through for the last 10 years is the fans. Because they've just recycled front office, they've recycled coaches, they've recycled players. Maybe Simon Cook in West Ashfield, maybe he's feeling it just like we are. Maybe who the fuck knows? Some muppet. What's his name? Rick James from the Homeward Barn Group, whatever his name. Rick Astley. What's his fucking name? That rock star.
You mean Dennis Burgess?
Oh, Dennis Burgess. Rick Wade. Yeah. I don't know. At this point, like, I want another fucking petition, man. I want to fucking petition the NRL to either fire fucking Phil Gould as the consultant to the Bulldogs for tampering because it's blatant. It's literally on television. He tampered on television. It's fucking blatant. Like, the evidence is there. Like, what are we kidding? What, we're going to let him sit there and, like, fucking change what does he think? He's a fucking propaganda artist? What does he think? He's fucking Joseph Goebbels? What is this crap? Fire this motherfucker. And Channel 9 needs to actually have their rights stripped. That's what I'm mad at. Like, it's bullshit. Like, what are the tampering rules even there for if he can get away with this shit? What is it you told me today? You told me something about him and Chance?
Oh, that was all for show.
There's no evidence that he's literally just like fucking just playing a propaganda game. Literally, like, come on. Oh, I've had a gutful of the like mistreatment of this club. I think like really, I don't even know what to do about it because like I'll tell you what we shouldn't have done. We shouldn't have picked a kid in round one last year who asked for a release before the season started. That's probably what we should have not done. That's probably my mistake we've made was actually platforming the guy. Probably should have let him go before round one last year.
You could make the point that we should have let him go when he wanted to play fullback in the undefeated Harold Matt side when he's as slow as a wet week. And Luke Lowley, he played there, lit up the tournament. He played left edge back row and was phenomenal.
Well, I'm glad you asked, Kyle, because I will tell you how I really feel. I'll tell you all episodes, so stick around because I'm gonna lay it on thick. Sorry, Joe.
No, mate, you're right. Look, I agree with you. I am just glad that it has reached an end. It has been disruptive. I think it has definitely affected us both on and off field. We're in the press every single day. I've had a gutful. Little bit of inside information. The reason that the transfer fee was so small was the fact that the legal case and the potential damages was a lot of money. The club basically worked that out, and Moses said, "Hey, you actually owe us a little bit of cash here, so you better pull that transfer fee down." And the Tigers' legal team crunched the numbers, and ultimately that's why it came down to 165k. So for those wondering about, why it was so low, that gives you an idea. We were on a hiding to nothing with that bullying case, but. Look, for me personally, I sit back now and I hope that this is a line in the sand for not just West Tigers, but for all clubs. This November 1 rule, quite frankly, is a farce. It is absolutely ridiculous that 18 months away from this kid, moving to another club, West Tigers exercised what is their right to do and try and negotiate and formally offer a contract 7 months before any other team could. It bit us on the arse. I think it's really disappointing. I think that the control that these player managers have, Michael Chamis getting ousted, on 100% footy a couple of weeks ago because an Isaac Moses client didn't want to speak to him. The blatant self-interest is so disappointing. The ability for player managers to control the game and as if they are holding the water supply up the river and not supplying the township with water, I think is really disappointing. To speak on a theoretical, and on Galvin, I understand why we offered him the house. I understand why we were willing to bend our salary cap out of shape on two halves players, because I see the vision, but nonetheless, he's gone now, and the disruption or the distraction that he had on the playing group is now gone. I don't necessarily wish him well, but I'm keen to see the back of him. And the quicker that can happen, the quicker that we can move on and we can start talking about what our roster looks like next year. You've heard a few times now that Latu Fainu, has been reported by Michael Chamis to be anointed as the next halves partner and Jerome Luai's long-term halves partner. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see us, move about in the market for what exactly. I'm not too sure. But we're going to see in due course. Mac?
I didn't hear anything you just said because I don't even know how, but the entrance music started playing again. It was blaring in my ears, man.
I didn't get a second of that.
I don't know, man. It's like it wasn't on my end either because like I checked, but like anyway, whatever. I'm not going to ask you to repeat yourself. Maybe just the last sentence.
I think it's mainly just what we do now in terms of moving on from a roster point of view,
Right.
on the field, off the field, all those sorts of things.
Yeah, move on. I think we've already probably unpacked a little bit of that over the last little while. Heath Mason getting named at 6 is, I guess, like they tried Dewey there and he wasn't very good, so they're probably like, well, we're not just going to roll Dewey out again. That's just going to be terrible. See how Heath goes there, just because Latu's just a week away or something. Have Heath there as a stopgap. Was probably the week to play Appy at 7, Luai 6, Talon 9, Tristan Hope on the bench. If anything, it's probably how I would have done it this week. Not Mason at 6, but whatever. Interested to see how he goes. I know you're kind of quietly expecting him to be all right. So, and I can see, if he kind of just keeps his game simple and tries to run a lot, the Cowboys aren't they're not. It's not like they're a defensive juggernaut of a side. And you rightly point out that, on his side of the field is John Bateman. So it's not like he's going to be up for much. Look, I mean, I know everybody wants to hear. I don't know why. Do you think that our particular listeners want to hear us talk about Lachlan Galvin anymore? I don't know. I don't even know if they do. Listeners, say in the comments. Do you want us to just keep waffling on about Lachlan Galvin, or do you want us to shut the fuck up about Lachlan Galvin?
Well, I guess my question to you is in terms of how we moved on, and you've mentioned on the field, but in terms of off it, we've sniffed around Cherry Evans, we've sniffed around Adam Reynolds. It seems as if with both of them that neither of them are a chance. There was a rumor that came out in Sports Confidential from the Telegraph last week about around the fact that we're after Jonah Glover, the young halfback from the Dragons, who's doing good things in their New South Wales Cup side. I'm getting a lot of people sort of on X and in other places talking about Toby Sexton. I personally wouldn't go there, but I understand why people are sort of saying that. I guess from your point of view, are you running with Latu as your guy? Like what comes next?
Latu, yeah. Sorry, Latu is a good 6. So, like, bring it on as soon as he's healthy. On a seam, I hope he can play 80. I feel like as long as he can play 80, he's gonna kill it because he's right at that point where he should be starting to really play first grade now. You know what I mean? Like last year, we maybe a little bit too early for him. Even though he had some good signs, you know, in the limited minutes that he's played this year, been some really good signs. So I'm very excited to see Latu Fino. I think he'll kill it. Honestly, I honestly do. It's just as long as he can stay healthy, man. Like he is, you know, the generational talent of his like group. You know what I mean? Like he was the kid. You know, he was the best kid in his age group, probably in the age group above and below him too. To be honest, like he was that kid, and we've got him. We've just not been able to really put him on the field enough. You know what I mean? Some of the things we've already seen him do in first grade, like who the hell puts Alex Seafarth over on touch? For fuck's sake.
Well, he made Seafarth look like a 700-gram player. So what's he going to make ball look like on that right edge, you know? So I certainly get that. In terms of roster management and roster planning, I think that Adam Dewey can really only be seen as a backup half or a left centre. Andrew says ultimate ASMR episode. Yeah, God, I don't know what is going on with your microphone, but I am getting all kinds of different descriptive sounds.
Just because of this. I'm using the headphone mic, and it's like I've never used it before, and these are really, really good headphones.
Anywho,
I'll try to fix it. Let me fix it.
I guess in terms of a roster point of view, I can see that Kyle's talking about Jonah Pezzett, and that's one way you could go. It ultimately hinges on Jerome Luai for me, and in terms of what you want him to be. If you want him to be the 7, then you back Latu and you go out and you go and sign a backup half that can, you know, probably fill out both roles. You know, if you don't see Latu as the guy, you probably move Jerome into the 6 role and you get a traditional 7. A guy like Tom Duffy, a guy like, as Kyle says, Jonah Pezzett. It's a really interesting one. For me personally, I think that you can only sign a rookie or a vet. And no sort of in between. You need if it's a rookie, it gives Latu, not Lockie, competition. And somebody to sort of, you know, develop with, you know, at training and sort of learn off Jerome and sort of, you know, compare his game to. And if it's a veteran, then it's somebody that can, you know, potentially mentor him. You know, like you know, hypothetically, how good would it be to have Tamare Martin come back home? He's off contract. You know, that's you know, just speaking for the sake of it. You know, that's that's another possibility or something that I would look at. But nonetheless, you know, Galvin is gone. Thankfully, I hear already that the playing group is much more settled and a happier camp, and hopefully, because we are due a decent run of, you know, no injuries and good condition with Latu and guys like Jarrell Skelton, that, you know, they can really begin to put it together in this period and catch fire.
Yeah.
Right home.
I got an email from somebody today who you know, isn't quantum, and he emailed me and he's like, he was just congratulating me on some other news. You know, I'm the kind of guy that gets congratulatory emails all the time. It's just normal for me. But when he congratulated me on this other news, he goes, definitely means the Tigers are going to win the premiership. This is a man who knows how the universe works. Tigers, we're going to go on a run now. It's going to be lit. Latu Fino all the way. When you were talking about, like, you know, the team being more unified and stuff, I was thinking, you know what came into my head? You know that, like, Narcos meme template?
Yes.
It's got...
Where he's, like, waiting?
Yeah, it was that with Talon. Talon, just like at training, just like kicking rocks because he's all like, ready to go, ready to be next out the door. Look, on your subject of, like, you know, signings and that, like, I do think we absolutely need to bring in a good half. The real point of difference we need, in my opinion, is a genuine 7. West Tigers have not had a genuine 7 in a very, very long time. You know, we've tried to manufacture 7s, you know, dating all the way back to Matthew Head. Matthew Head was probably the last genuine 7 that we actually had at the club. We tried to play Blake Austin as a 7. He was a 6. We tried to play Robert Louis as a 7. He was a 6. We tried to play Josh Reynolds. He was a 6. Luke Brooks. Everyone that we've ever tried to bloody play. Can we just have a halfback, please? Like, can you just give us a halfback, please? There's plenty of them off contract. Plenty of genuine halfbacks off contract. I just want to see, you know, we've got a good spine. We've got one of the best hookers in the game. We've got a guy that's been called by a lot of people the best 5'8" in the game playing halfback. And then we've got Jerome Borlo who's having a freakish season. Let's just put a bloody game managing 7 in there with them and see how they go. That's not Latu Finu, granted. Could he become one? There's precedent. Like Jerome Hughes became a good 7. Aforementioned Robert Louis for the period of time that he was actually on the field and not causing himself grief. He turned into an okay serviceable 7. So there's certainly been precedent for it. A guy like that I've mentioned to you that I kind of think we should have a look at is Sean O'Sullivan. I think he's been around a lot of clubs, which I think is good because I feel like it means that he's not the sort of player who kind of he's not like a club elitist. You just go to a club and you'll just turn up and be the same guy he was at every other club. I don't think he'd like kick rocks about being at West Tigers. He'd just come in and get the job done. You've heard through the grapevine that he's got a good footy mind. He can play 6, he can play 7, he can kick field goals. He's actually got a field goal in the NRL, unlike our current 7. So that's a guy I think would be a good signing. I know you have a lot of doubt that Jaden Sullivan will return to the club. Look, I get that. I really do. I think you're probably right. Like, I don't think that he probably will return to the club because it's a bit weird. But I'd probably welcome him back if it was me, like, on form. Like, I think, we've already got him on the books. It'd be easier than trying to go out there and negotiate. To just be like, you know what, he's developed. He's spent a year under Wayne Bennett. He's, he doesn't cause problems. He's leaner, fitter. Why not play him, as an option outside of Luai? It can't be worse than Galvin on form, right? And we've been doing that. He's it'd be a bit of an overpay, as you've pointed out to me in private, but and that's the sense you don't want to have a 600K backup in the books, but when Latu Fine is very much not the finished product, you can't stay on the field. Is Jaden Sullivan really the backup if he comes back? Latu Fine is probably more of the backup, right? Anyway, we've got options. There's options there. I still wouldn't rule out Adam Reynolds. I know that coming out in the media and announcing that he actually had an approach from us is usually a pretty bad sign. And I know he wants to stay in Brisbane, but if Brisbane don't want him, he's not going to retire. I don't think. It'd be like a bit of a repeat of that Sean Johnson saga. When he first left the Warriors, he didn't want to leave the Warriors. He didn't want to retire, so he ended up at a club that never would have thought he was going to get that they were going to get him. That could easily repeat itself.
Yeah, it could. It'll be really interesting to see what transpires in the next few weeks. And, who they recruit will probably give you an idea of what they've got in mind for Jerome Luai and the half pair moving forward. Again, I thought that the Glover rumour was pretty timely. I thought that meant that the Bud probably won't be around. We're just going to have to wait and see. Time will tell, and whether or not they sign a rook or a vet or whatever it may be is I'm not exactly sure. But nonetheless, the club will. No one player is bigger than the club. We've been through this before. I'm thankful that we have stronger leadership, and they're obviously firmly behind the coach, and the playing group is too. So on we trot. Another contractual decision. Uppy and Talon. Reports earlier last week that Talon De Silva will go to market pending Uppy's Coruscant's contract extension, which seems like a formality. It's just in terms of how long it's for. Where's your head at with all that?
I think that it's ridiculous. Like, Talon De Silva has not proven that he is somebody who should be able to throw his weight around and get a club to move off of somebody as good as Api Coruscant. It's an absolute absurd proposition. The minute that I received that, if I'm Shane Richardson, I'm literally just being like, I'm not even going to extend you, bro. Not after the saga that we've just gone through with Lachlan Galvin. Like, as if you would deal with that crap again. You want us to get off of our captain, who literally was the only player that showed up in the game that we lost 2 weeks ago, that is still that good. You want us to move off him. What have you proven, child? Fuck off. No. What a ridiculous proposition. See, there's the door. We've got another kid coming through behind him, Jared Hayward, who's just as good of a developmental talent anyway. By talent. That's how I feel about it.
I tend to agree. Probably not as aggressively, but I do
Well,
agree.
you live down in Cambo, so you're not allowed to say fuck off to things to people who are in
Oh,
your
I
neck of the
saw
woods.
Talon's family in a Leeds club the other day. So yes, I need to be mindful of these things because we hang around in similar haunts.
Yeah, I'm up in Brisbane. Bring it on.
And Johnny De Silva is one tough nut. He's a small man, but he punches well above his weight.
Well, Johnny, let me give you a word of advice. Tell your son to be respectful to the club that gave him his debut, and to be respectful to his captain, because making a call like this is extremely disrespectful. And there's probably, honestly, I mean, could you read into the fact that he's been dropped since making that request?
No, I don't. I don't know. I
Why
mean,
not?
we kind of agreed that he needed minutes. Marshall
Yeah,
said,
well, he's out again though.
yes, but is a 70-minute blowout, a single 70-minute blowout in New South Wales Cup enough? You watched the game, you saw it in depth. Do you think he did enough to warrant a recall? Look, Brent Naden at 14, you're shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic. Nonetheless, like, if you really want to see a response from Tal, did you get it? Well, let the record show that he just shook his head. There's your answer. Look, for me personally, the only thing that is going to drag this club out of the cellar now that we have a strong board, a strong CEO, and they are seemingly behind the coach, is leadership and culture. What has Uppy Coruscant done since he has gotten here? It is provide strong leadership and strong culture. He was the only person. Isaiah Papali'i, yes, did come to the club, but Uppy was the only one that signed when we were in our hour of need and stayed and believed in the project and saw the vision and continued to stay with us, irrespective of the fact that he lost his blue jersey, irrespective of the fact that he's been in a team that's won 2 spoons, irrespective of the fact that we blew him out for 80 minutes multiple times last year, and it looks like we're going to do so in the weeks to come. You do not disrespect him. You find a deal that suits all parties. For me personally, that's till the end of 27 with an option for 28, and you deal with the collateral later. I absolutely love Talon De Silva as a footballer. I think he's a phenomenal footballer, and he is within his right to go to market and see what's out there and see whether there is a team that will offer him the opportunity to start at 9 in the NRL. But I think that it is in his best interests as a footballer that he remains underneath Uppy Coruscant for the next few years. And you look at who's the best hooker in the comp, Harry Grant. He didn't play consistent first grade until he was 22 years old. So for me
100%.
personally, with Talon at only age 20 this year, hanging around till 2027 and then, on the bench and then, increasing his minutes as time goes on, irrespective of whether Uppy's at the club, I think is the best thing for his development. So if we're going to talk about development here, because that seems to be the big word at the moment, whether or not the Tigers can develop players, whether Benji can develop halves, whether the system is good enough, Talon, you have done all the hard work to get into first grade. Now you just need to hit your belt. You need to hit your 50 games, and then you become a genuine hooking prospect, and your minutes will only increase from there. Do it at the club that you have loved from the moment that you were shot out of the womb.
Sure, that's something. I amen to all points. I'd also add Abby Coruscant took unders, bro. Like he came here on pennies compared to his market value. Like
He
I
still
think
is on pennies. He is
I
worth
know
$1 million to us.
he is. He is. He's more important to our club than Jerome Luai, in my
Well, all the
opinion.
attack flows through him. He is
100%.
he is so important to us.
And he's on half of what Jerome Luai's on. He's on half of what we're offering Lachlan Galvin.
That's
Or
right.
nearly. Like, I mean, come on. You want us to move off of like that? Our captain, our attacking general, who's on unders. Oh, it's such a silly thing. Like, why are we like? Look, I mean, yes, I was certainly on the some screaming in the background. I was certainly on the old drop him to give him some minutes in reserve grade tangent, but now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, who knows? Maybe he did get the old get out of here, son, go back to reserve grade and work your way back because you need to pull your head in. I think right now, like, is the worst time to be doing something like that. Like, can you imagine how fed up with dealing with like overconfident, young, cocky players Shane Richardson is right now? I'm not hiding to nothing, making making a request like that right now. Somebody said feels more like an agent play than Talon pushing it. Like at the end of the day, we were saying the same thing about this whole Lachlan Galvin saga. But they represent the player. And at the end of the day, the player is the one that's telling the agent, signing off yes or no. If that player is deciding to go, you know what, I'll just leave it up to you, agent. You do your thing. I'm backing you, bro. It's still him. It's the players signing off on it, mate. Like so, it doesn't matter if it's the agent, it's the player. The agent is the player. Is the agent is the player, mate. And you know what I mean, like development. Yes, another good point you raised. I think that as if you'd want to go to a club that doesn't have Appy Coruscant at it to learn how to be a hooker. As if you wouldn't want to learn off Appy Coruscant. It's ridiculous.
And what's Talon's biggest deficiencies? It's around deception. It's defensive work. Uppy's not the gold standard for defending in the middle, but he's won 3 grand finals. He's played State of Origin. He knows what it takes to defend at the highest level. He kicks well. I'm not saying that Talon doesn't kick well. I think Talon does kick well, but I think that he gets overawed by situations sometimes. Uppy's ice cool in every moment possible. If there's anybody, as you say, if there is anybody to do your apprenticeship under right now,
Crazy.
For where he is, it's Uppy. So hopefully, that this is just simply Talon trying to work out what his value is to see how he's valued externally, and eventually he does come back to the table because I do still see him as our long-term 9. Jared Haywood, yeah, he's a very good footballer in his own right, but for me personally, and this is just my opinion, I don't think that they are in the same. I don't think they're in the same league, but nonetheless, we can debate that at another time. Is there anything amongst these comments you want to like, mate, or do you want to start talking about the Cows?
Let's go on.
Beautiful. All right. Saturday, 5:30, we are at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville to take on the Cowboys, who many of you will know we don't have run-of-the-mill games against. They're always crazy, and this game I think shapes up to be as such. Mac teased the team list before, saying it was shithouse, but I'll run through it from 1 to 22 for everybody's sake. Fullback Jareen Buller, Sinea Taruva and Charlie Staines the wingers. Adam Dewey and Stafford Toa are the centres. Heath Mason comes in at 6. We're going to talk about that. Jerome Luai is the halfback and captain. Our forward pack has been named to be the same as it was, but there might be a late change around one Samuela Fainu. Nonetheless, Terrell May, Apasai Coruscant, West Hunt, Samuela Fainu, Alex Seafarth and Alex Swell. The bench, Brent Naden, Jack Bird, Sione Fainu, Tony Suka, who signed an extension this week. Congratulations to Tony, and happy birthday, Tony, 21 on Sunday. Extended benches as follows: Tristan Hope, Luke Laulii, Charlie Murray, Kit Laulii, and Talon De Silva. For the Cowboys, Jackson Paulo comes in for Murray Taulungi, who had a calf injury. They have named every single one of their Origin players to back up. So Dearden is the halfback and captain. Reece Robson's been named to start at 9. Jeremiah Nenai on the right edge, and Ruben Cotter at lock forward. This is going to be really interesting. I'm very, very curious to see how this goes. I genuinely have no idea based on, first of all, history, but also the fact that we are Lachlan Galvinless, which should be a positive. Nick Mason at 5'8" is going to be extremely interesting. And obviously the Cowboys players backing up, whether or not they do back up, whether or not they don't, and how they turn up. Because last year, we thought Hunt Lomax coming off Origin, yeah, that's all right, that's a winnable game, and then we conceded 48 points in one half. So you never know, Mac.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, if it was in Sydney, I'd probably be backing us. Do you know that the Cowboys are one of 2 sides in the NRL who we have a winning record over?
I do, yes. We've always had the wood on them, interestingly, and in spite of 74 blot and the absolute crazy game that occurred at Leichhardt, both in 2023 and in 2024, there are points to be scored in this one without question.
Yeah, vibes like a bit of a high-scoring shootout, doesn't it? That's sort of the feeling I get about this game. So I think that both sides might, put more than 24 points on the board.
I think so too. Heath Mason, I don't know if many people have seen him as a six, so I'll give you a bit of an idea. Heath grew up playing in the halves. He was regarded as quoted in the lead up to the 2022 Harold Matts Grand Final as a guy that quite often, quote unquote, takes the right option. For me personally, it is his best position. I understand why the club has wanted to develop him as a fullback. I think they made concessions to the Lachlan Galvin camp in their first year of SG ball. But for Heath, I think it's his best position. You need a guy like that on a short side, getting the ball nice and early. He's fast, so straight away he's putting defenders in opposite in sort of two minds as to what he's going to do. He's definitely started to favour his running game more than his passing game as time has gone on. But nonetheless, Heath is a guy that I'm really really curious to see. Defensively, I think he's really cleaned up his defence in these past few weeks and months. There was some genuine absolute concerns last year, but this year I think he's really done well to clean that up, and you've seen that in first grade. But it all comes down to this with Heath. What has been Heath's biggest detractor when playing first grade, it's been under the high ball. He doesn't have to worry about that. You will expect him to hit the ground hard off his right foot. You expect him to call for the ball and try and get around his opposite, and to hopefully ball play a little bit down short sides and down that right edge. I'm also hoping that we see a little bit of a change in our attack with Jareem sweeping both sides as opposed to keeping the template that was used when Lachlan Galvin was around. And ultimately, I think that he will, have a pretty decent game. He's a goer. He goes all day. He doesn't die wondering. And given what we've had to deal with recently with Lachlan Galvin and his defensive attitude, as I described it today, going out there with the goal of ensuring that his jersey doesn't have to go on the wash basket. Then we can be confident that Heath will he'll have a red hot crack.
Yeah, look, you're probably right. He probably will have an okay game. I'm very wary that he's like the opposite of Lachlan in that like Lachlan can go all day. He's like an energizer battery. So the game plan that we had for Lachlan Galvin was essentially to run him stupid because he can. Heath Mason will die at the 55th minute mark if he's expected to play anything remotely like Lachlan Galvin. Based on what I've seen in his New South Wales Cup performances, he gets tired very easily. He hasn't got a very big tank. I would expect what you're describing to be the case. I very much think that they would have no choice but to sort of change, play Heath one side, Luai the other, and have Blur in the sweeping role. Makes all the sense. If they expect Heath Mason to be able to float backwards and forwards across the field, he will become a defensive liability. He needs to manage his energy throughout this game. So that's my biggest concern. Luke Lalali's return in New South Wales Cups on the extended bench. It's good to see him back. Hopefully he can stay healthy for a few weeks because he's an out and out first grader. He's definitely ready for first grade in terms of what he can actually do on the field. I think earlier in here when he played first grade, he was very impressive. Like he sort of jumped off the page. You could see that he'd taken a leap. So it's very disappointing that he's missed so much football.
I really want to see Luke make that backup fullback role his own. I'm hopeful that we make some signings in the immediate, but also in the towards with an eye towards 2026 and 27, that ensure that Luke is able to do a proper apprenticeship in New South Wales Cup. That's not to say he can't do a job and that he's not first grade quality, but just simply the fact that we just need to be gentle with him, given his history already of concussions and also what he can offer. I think that he will be able to one day fill every position in the back line and do a good job, fullback, wing, and centre. But obviously getting him up to scratch and used to that, and obviously the contact and the week in week out grind of playing either reserve grade or first grade. I'm really happy we get that done. Faraz says, wasn't the guy in the black jacket on Levels Network before? Yeah, he was. He lasted 9 weeks and then he was unceremoniously punted. But nonetheless, here we are, West Tigers faithful. the only place to be. Look, again, I think we spoke about it. I think it's going to be a high-scoring match. I'm assuming that Townsville will be a dry track. I'm checking the weather now.
It's been raining a lot up here, so I think
Due to be partly, it's been to rain all week, but partly cloudy Saturday, so I'd expect it to be quite humid.
oh, it'll be humid. It'll be I think it'll be a game that's very sloppy. I think it'll be a game with a high error count from both sides. I think it'll be a game that'll cough up a lot of points. I think it'll be a game for the smaller guys. So maybe it will suit Heath in that sense. Like there might be a lot of space around the middle as the big guys suck in the big ones because of the humidity. And they do have a pretty big side. I know they've got Sam McIntyre in the front row. He's not the biggest front row, but aside from him, it's a pretty big side. It's a big bench.
Yeah, Benji's bench rotation will be interesting. I actually like what he did against South. Took the sting out of the game with Royce, moved Alex Twal to the front row and brought Jack Bird on, who played long minutes. Sione Fainu then came on and sort of did a decent amount of time as well. So I don't mind that. Terrell, I would assume, will go the distance, especially off a bye. That would not surprise me in the slightest. And then you sort of have Twal, Hunt, Bird, Sione sort of rotating in and out. Where Tony Sukar is used, I'm really curious. But as I mentioned earlier, there's a fair chance that Samuela doesn't play. Tony comes into the left edge, and then we'll call up one of, I guess, Charlie or Kit. Hopefully, we don't have to do that. But nonetheless, we'll see.
Got some shit talkers in the chat. Sup, Toby? No idea who you are, but sounds like you've got a bit of an axe to grind. So keep slinging shit in the chat. Whatever, buddy. Yeah, I think that there is a game plan here where I can see us really winning this game plan by just playing up tempo right through the middle, playing off Appy, Buller coming through the middle a lot, lots of backup. So probably, very similar kind of formula in my mind to the formula that we beat them with at Leichhardt a couple of years back. Like that sort of feels like the same sort of tempo that we need to play at, the same sort of approach that we need to play at. I'd say Benji would probably say we need to win this game off the back of our defense. Like if we can keep them out of our in goal for the first 15, 20 minutes. Force them to actually, start pushing the pass a little bit more, force them to start actually trying to take low percentage options. They might start coughing up the ball and giving us a bit more field position, things like that, so that we can actually capitalize off that and build momentum. So I think that'll be, and to be honest, I think that they'll probably have a pretty similar game plan too. I think that the two sides sort of match up strength to strength, weakness for weakness a little bit. So that's sort of why I kind of feel like it'll be a pretty evenly matched, high-scoring game.
Yeah, I'm pretty much there with you. If I was going to tip, I'll tip the Tigers this week. I don't say it with any sort of assuredness, but I think that it'll be something ridiculous. I can see like a 40-32.
Yeah.
I can see some some pretty poor defensive decisions made by both teams. I can see some crazy tries scored off kicks in second phase play. Ultimately, I think that with coming off the bye, 2 straight losses for us, I think it's the opportunity to draw a line in our season, and I can see that paying dividends for us. Again, 40-32 to the Tigers.
I'm not confident. Like I said, I'd be probably more confident in Sydney. I don't like when we go up to Townsville. I know that in the past we've had a couple of surprise wins up there, but of late it's been a terrible place to go for the club. I think that we're not without a shot, but yeah, I think the home ground advantage should favour the Cowboys. I would probably say it'd be like 34-20, something like that. Cowboys.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise either. Nonetheless, good luck to the boys, and hopefully they can come home with a result. The only West Tigers affiliated men's team that played over the weekend was the Jersey Flegg side. They actually went over to Fiji, which is always a bit of fun for those boys and one of the great away trips, and they were victorious over the Silktails. Jared Hayward, who we mentioned earlier, who I believe has probably outgrown Jersey Flegg, had a hand in a couple of really nice tries, which was extremely impressive. If you go back and watch the highlights, have a look at what Archie Duncan did off a short pass, playing left edge back row like he did a couple of years ago. Some really nice movement at the line to sort of just get his body away from his opposite and scored a really nice try. Cameron Canaan, I thought, did some good things. Jesley Adagaga, who started at 13 and starts at 13 again this week, really showing a lot of effort and intent, a lot of leg speed through the middle, and despite being a smaller body, he's playing well above his weight. And Salsa Kuru, who unfortunately had to play in the centres because one of the Tautua boys went off, had a pretty good game. But I'm really, really excited to see what he does this week, hopefully with an extended period in the back row. And just quickly, I'm not sure if everybody knows, but by the looks of things, they have ousted the old coaching staff. Leon Lorsalipe has been nowhere to be seen for 2 weeks. I did believe that at the time it might have been something as simple as a passport issue getting into Fiji, but now that we're obviously playing in Cronulla this weekend, it's fair to say that he has left his post permanently, or he might have been pushed. But nonetheless, good win for those boys. They play the first placed Cronulla Sharks this week. They named a reasonably strong side. We'll get a fair idea of where those boys are at. Anything there?
Congratulations, flag side. I am very excited to see some of these young guys coming in. Silktails have won 3 games this year, so better win than it ordinarily would be. They've been winless the last couple of seasons, so like 1 win type team. So they're actually going pretty good. So always feels like beating up a third world team, though, doesn't it? When
yes,
it's never something you really feel good about. Like it'd be good if the Silktails started, actually winning games down there. So I digress. We're going to do some Q&A soon. So if you've got some questions, I know there's already a few people who've asked some questions, even just interesting comments, ideas. Put them in the comments, and I'll throw them up to Jared. Jared, I just have a question for you. How do you feel about Taylor May showing up on Matty John's show with a bum bag?
Oh, Terrell.
Terrell, man, yeah.
I find it genuinely hilarious. I think that he is unapologetically himself, but I'm also not too sure he possesses the IQ points to have the tact to even think twice about something like that, which I actually respect, because I would have been overthinking it to no end what I was going to wear that night. He is who he is. I love that about him. He is, some people love him for it. Some people absolutely despise him for it. But Terrell's going to be Terrell, and he obviously feels confident in himself, and that's probably a credit to the culture of the Tigers. So,
what do you think he had in it?
A shank for sure.
A shank.
Yeah. Bro, he's from Tregear. He's got to have that thang on him. But what else? I reckon Terrell, being the gamer he is, I reckon he had an old Nintendo 3DS in there. And I reckon he probably had a pack of his dad's rollies. What do you reckon he had in there?
I reckon he had his mobile vlogging kit. I reckon he was backstage interviewing everybody, and I reckon he was sort of hoping he'd be able to whip it out in front of the Matty John Show audience and do some vlogging.
I reckon that there's a fair chance that that's his vlog this week, given the fella is typically starved for ideas and what he does. So,
all right, let's hit the Q&A. Let's start with this beautiful question here from Toby. Do you not think Jerome will have the game of his life, considering he was dropped from New South Wales?
I think that he will certainly respond in these next few weeks. I think the bye has provided an opportunity to reflect, and quite frankly, there were absolutely issues with Lachlan Galvin. So whether or not that was proving to be a distraction, I guess we'll see. I've been predicting that Jerome is going to catch fire at some point. I've been wrong up to this point. I thought against South he was pretty poor. The first half against the Dragons was wonderful and really showed what he can do, but there was a very, very small sample size. I'm hopeful that he really starts to come out and own games and own score lines. I don't think that that's too far away, but in terms of whether or not we're going to get an instant response this week, because simply, for all sorts of factors, Heath Mason off the bye,
oh no,
different sorts of things. I'm not exactly sure. You got anything there, Mac?
Lost you for a second, but I look, I kind of don't. I just don't know if we're ever going to see that from him. To be honest, man. Like when I really think about Jerome Luai's performances at Penrith, like he was, like I can't remember any real like games where it was like Jerome Luai was the like game winner at the end. Like I can't like I'm sure there must have been a few, but like I can't remember any times where like Jerome Luai took the ball, won them the game, or they won a game and it was like Jerome Luai. I'd like to see how many man of the match awards he's ever won. What his like career daily M performances like. Like I feel like that you get the best out of Jerome Luai by pairing him with like a steady hand kind of guy who is also a playmaker. Yeah, I am genuinely concerned that Jerome Luai might just be not up to being like the dominant playmaker. But we've discussed that ad nauseum. Here's another question. What do you think about Taylor May being cited at South CEO Heffron Park, South COE Heffron Park today?
There's been plenty of chatter about it, mainly from Weidler, who I think has gotten the exclusive. It's not entirely a surprise. I'm not sure that the Tigers are moving forward with it. I haven't really heard anything from any of my sources that we're truly in for him. I heard that Richardson basically said to his manager after sitting down with him before he went to his mental health clinic and whatnot that, at that point they were concerned for his welfare. I think that the Tigers will always be in with a chance right up until the day that he drives over to Maroubra to sign that contract. It's just whether or not they deem it the right signing. Yes, of course, on field it's a no brainer. I think Adam is showing signs of fatigue at left centre, but obviously off the field is extremely important, and character is a big part of recruitment these days for any rugby league club. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, what we do there. And if the Tigers continue to sit on their hands, then they've obviously made their decision. Um, that's all I really have to say.
Yeah, I don't particularly care. I wouldn't mind if we missed Taylor May. Don't really want him at the club. Imagine says I expect Naden is insurance in case Mason stinks it up. Uh, he also says left and right side halves, baller on both sides is the way to go. Paul Langmack, one for the oldies. Paul Langmack's going to be at Campbelltown Leagues Club on June 6th. Get down to Campbelltown Leagues Club and buy that man a half and half. For those who
He's
don't know what a
the
half and half is,
he's the
half
anti
to his new,
Galvin.
half to his old.
He was West via Canterbury.
Okay. Next question. Sorry, that was Scott. Thank you very much, Scott, for letting us know about the Paul Langmack meet and greet. Next question is on Heath Mason's kicking game. Kicking game.
Not a long kicking specialist. Luke Kepi did the majority of the kicking in those Harold Matthews and SG ball sides, and then after that, he sort of just morphed into a fullback and was developed as such. A good little short kicking game. You've seen it a few times. He's forced a couple of dropouts. That's pretty much where I'd expect him to chime in. I would very much anticipate that Uppy and Jerome do much of the kicking on the weekend. Is the chat at first meeting? Is the chat about Renault coming real or just media bullshit? Personally, think Romy is growing as a 7, will be a gun 7 in 12 to 18 months. He's doing well. I agree with you. I do think that he'll get there. Obviously, there's been some growing pains for all sorts of reasons, but I think he'll get there. Reynolds, I think we sniffed around. I think it was more just checking all options and seeing what was available and then determining a direction. They did the exact same thing with Daly Cherry Evans. Nonetheless, I think that he wants to stay in Brisbane. Pete Padell released an article at the back end of last week indicating that the Broncos were going to offer him a 1-year extension. I think that'll be enough for him to stay up in the River City. I don't think he necessarily cares about money. I think it's more just staying up there and, hopefully, well, not for our sake, but for Reynolds' sake, in his mind that, they can win a comp, even though I think they're a world away.
It's definitely real. I'll say that. Like Adam Reynolds himself has come out and confirmed that the Tigers showed interest in him. So it's not media BS. It's for once. I would take him in a heartbeat. Maybe Jerome Luai can't kick some, maybe. Bam, Reynolds is already the finished product. Give me the finished product, please. Give me the finished product at 7 and the finished product at 6, please. I would take that with open arms today, and I would exchange that for any potential development of Jerome Wise as 7 any day of the week. Hazamat asks, are we still heading in the right direction? The last few weeks feels more like the old Tigers. Old Tigers are back. Are we in the pit of despair, Jared?
No, I don't think so. I understand it's, quite bleak at the minute and the club's been rather quiet, but God, people were anticipating a Galvin Latu Finu dilemma years ago. At one point, it was sort of like, well, what are we going to do, and how are we going to maneuver around this? And then we signed Jerome Luai, and it got to a critical point. Um, I think can be really, really hard to get down in the weeds and not see the wood for the trees. One of the most important parts of this entire club, which was the installation of a truly independent board and proper corporate governance, happened only 5 months ago.
Mm.
The CEO was in an interim position up until this time last year. He's had 12 months, and he embarked on the greatest recruitment drive I think that this club has ever had, except for pre-2005.
Better.
I,
Better, I
I,
think.
I I understand why people have doubts. I understand why you see it where we are on the ladder, and you grow concerns, and I get that. Squad building is not something that you can turn over in 12 months. It is a 24 to 36-month exercise, and then from there you are always trimming. You are always bringing players through, pushing players out, negotiating for better deals in different places. Our junior pipeline is not at a point where it is absolutely overflowing, but that is always something that takes time. But I am confident that we are getting there. I think that the hardest things to work through, which is administration and so forth, fuck, have been worked through. It is now simply the on-field stuff, and there's been enough to see this year that we are trending in the right direction, irrespective of who the coach is on the field. Would you have anticipated that win that we had against the Cronulla like this time last year, 2022, 2021, 2020,
No, I
2019?
thought we were going to get, whether we were going to get flogged. That was a. I agree with you. I think that like the reality is that you can't just click your fingers and make a club great again. I think the West Tigers kind of got. We already had that fairy tale, right? That was an outlier. Like a club like coming from where the West Tigers were winning the comp, going back to the doldrums. That's just not how it works. That's not how every other team built their way into a premiership ever. It's very, very rare to see. So I think that the truth is there's still echoes of the past. We still have some of the remnants to have to pick through. Still working through the roster, still exercising the demons. Benji Marshall still learning on the job. Still a whole new playing group trying to figure out how to play together. The external factors that keep dogging us do not help, right? Like it is very hard for a plant to grow when it's overwatered or bombarded with sunlight or stressed out. It's hard for anything to grow, including a club. When it's under pressure, it constantly. Most of the time, things don't turn into diamonds. You can't put shit under pressure and it turns into diamonds.
That's
So
right.
it's important that we just get clean air, right? Like Richo now needs to be really strategic when it comes to managing this club, in that he keeps all of the wolves away, and that may mean saying goodbye to somebody like Talon De Silva for sticking his head up and putting his hand in the sky and saying, "I'm going to be the next problem." You know what I mean? Like, if you want to be like, we're never going to grow if people keep doing that to us. Whether they're our juniors, or whether it's a guy we sign, or whether it's a Todd Payton type coach white-handing us, it doesn't matter. These people need to go. We need to get them away from the club, and we just need the club to have people who want to be here for the right reasons, not playing stupid games with us. Mario Tartak is a very good player agent. He doesn't play stupid games with the clubs, right? Like it's not something that agents all do. It's not something agents have to do. It's just the tactics that some agents use. So I would suggest that Richo also probably needs to start considering going down the path of the likes of Nick Politis and making some choices about which player agents that he chooses to do business with moving forward.
I agree.
Uh, Next question is Wolfie. Do you think Toby Sexton signs with the Tigers? Took Dogs to first. Do you see him fitting in with Lua, Appy, and Lula?
I think Toby Sexton is a good NRL caliber halfback. I think he's a guy that will probably play 200 games. I think he'll play a bit of finals football as well. Is he a guy that I think can win a team a premiership being the dominant seven? No. Do I think therefore that he is the guy for West Tigers? No. I know that people are going to say, oh, why are you writing off the guy that has taken Canterbury to the top? It's Canterbury's system and the phenomenal coaching of Cameron Ciraldo and the roster management of Phil Gould that has gotten Canterbury to where they are. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I understand, and again, I think Toby will have a decent career. He reminds me of a Luke Walsh type player. Jared Mullen, when he was playing good football, he reminds me of those sorts of guys. But is he a guy that I would sign? No. Why would you block Latu Finu's pathway for a guy like that? I just wouldn't do it. Again, if it was Reynolds or Cherry Evans, I get it. It makes sense. It's short term. You develop Latu as your seven, and then those boys walk off into the sunset. Hopefully, with a ring or having lifted the Proven. But Toby Sexton, no, I wouldn't go there.
I understand where you're coming from, and I see why you'd make all of those points, but I would sign him. I would say to you that the way you described justifying him at the Dogs, it's Ciraldo's system, it's the Bulldogs system, it's Ciraldo as a coach, it's the other players. You could use all those same arguments to judge Jerome Luai at Penrith. In fact, it sounded like you were describing Jerome Luai at Penrith all the way down to mentioning Cameron Ciraldo. So, like, I think that, and to be honest, that's probably an argument against both of them, not necessarily Toby Sexton or Jerome Luai, but my gut feel, it's more gut feel with Toby Sexton because I agree with you, like on the eye test and on the what he's put on the field, devil's advocate a little bit, like having a go at there on Luai, but I do agree that he doesn't strike me as that much of an upgrade on Jerome Luai as a seven. Right, but can you play him at seven, move Jerome Luai to six, and get more value than Latu Finu six, Jerome Luai seven? Maybe. At least Toby Sexton's a genuine halfback, and I am definitely on the side of having a genuine halfback, and I'm also on the side of playing our franchise player in his position that he made his name on. I think we have to do that. But on top of that, I have a feeling that Toby Sexton at his next club is going to take a developmental leap. I think that he's 58 games into his first grade career and 24 years old. This is not a halfback that's quite done developing. He's played 24 games at one club, 34 at another. He's been around the Bulldogs on their path to greatness, so he's seen how it works. Now he's starting to get to the point where you might actually look to him more as a leader type player in the team than a rookie. And he has been up until now a developmental project. So now, even though it's a risk, because I could be wrong, like it'd be a risk to sign him because it's kind of just taking a leap of faith. I feel like now is when you would sign somebody like Toby Sexton and see him become a different type of Toby Sexton, especially if he came here. Because if he came here to the club that lost the player that's basically pushed him out of the Bulldogs, then you get the chip on the shoulder to top it off. Right. So like I can see I'm a yes on signing him. I'm not a yes on signing him on big money. And maybe he will demand big money because he's coming out of the Bulldogs camp. Maybe he'll get 600-700K. Lord knows there are players that are on overs. Like it's definitely a thing that we see all time and time again. Some of the salaries some of these players that are on blows my mind. And if there is a team in the market like the Titans who are willing to throw 800K at Toby Sexton or something like that, no. I'm not competing for Toby Sexton in that sense. 550 to go into a battle with Latu Finu, I don't hate it personally. I know you're of the view that that's too much for a backup, but I don't view Latu Finu as a proper locked in commodity. So it would make sense to me to bring in somebody that's almost kind of like got just an equal shot of taking that jersey and making them compete in the preseason for that spot. So that's my opinion on it. Moving on, Clayton says, and that's your dad, I think.
Yes.
It says, I think Toby is Lockie's burner account. Toby, how do you plea to that? Toby also points out that Jerome Luai's very first grade game, he was man of the match. So thank you very much, Toby, for pointing that out.
Well done, Toby. Great memory. He was phenomenal that night. He was also wearing the 7 on his back.
He
And that's
was wearing the 7. That was the first and last time he ever played a good game at Arthur.
are you kidding? Did you watch NRL last year?
No, I'm just teasing.
I'm still Team Jerome. I'm still Team Jerome.
You are. We know.
I'm still there. Still there.
Hawko says,
I understand the Reynolds and the DCE questions because Richardson wants to win now. That's him pushing it. But Jerome is the guy that helps you win every single day.
Should we sign Kai Pearce-Paul? He's a much better player than his form suggests at Newcastle. He's not being utilised properly. He was light years ahead of Matty Nicholson in Super League. That might as well have been written by you.
You feel I am so glad you woke up and decided to tune in this morning. You beautiful bastard. I couldn't agree more. He's also playing considerably overweight. He's being used as a tackle bot. I think that if Latu Finu can make Alex Seafarth look like a 700 grand back rower, imagine what he can do for Kai Pearce-Paul. No further questions.
Yeah, big agree, to be honest. I think Kai Pearce-Paul is a genuine back rower. I think he's a genuine point of difference to anyone else that we have. I think he's got great size. He's got great physicality. He's got high defensive. What's the word? He's got high tackle efficiency. He's right-sided. That's definitely a weaker side. No, I'm a big fan of signing Kai Pearce-Paul. I think we will sign Kai Pearce-Paul. I think we'll sign Kai Pearce-Paul. I think I don't think Newcastle are in the ballpark. I don't think they will be. And I have not really heard of any other clubs really showing anywhere near as much interest in him as we have been. I think he's as good as signed, sealed, delivered to Concord, to be honest.
I think it's done, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Yes. Andrew says, Dewey upset about not playing his preferred permission. Yes. The rumor going around is that he is what's he again? He's upset that he's being portrayed as...
I think I saw that on goldcox.com.
All right. What if Mason carves up the salty crocs? Does he become a serious consideration? Not over Latu.
Chance for 14. If he absolutely tears it up, yeah, he might play off the bench.
Do we think DC is even a chance now? I don't understand him to the Chooks as a move for both sides. I don't think so. I feel like that if with him, we'd have heard more about it. I feel like DCE's camp's leaking. And if there was genuine conversations being had with the Tigers, it would be being leaked to the media for the benefit of driving his price up with the Roosters. So I do not believe that it is happening.
I continue to wonder. I need to speak to my source to sort of get more of an idea. But no, I think that line went quiet. I agree with you now, Blaine, that it doesn't make sense for the Roosters. But back when they were playing the way that they were in the first couple of months of the season, you completely understood it.
CB says Toby kisses his dad on the lips. Hawko with the question, do you think Macassini gets a run this year if he replaces AD, who can kick apart from Appy? Star looks a lock for the near future. I'll go first.
Go.
I think Macassini... I think if Macassini comes back into the NRL team after he has his stint in GPS rugby, if he comes back into flagging calves and then goes up to New South Wales Cup and calves, I think there's a big chance of getting blooded later in the year. I really do. I don't think it's a guarantee. I think it'd be conditional on that, which is definitely not a guarantee, but also on, us having some injury issues and stuff like that. And I have said that in the past. Marcassini himself can kick. That's the thing. So, like, Marcassini can come into first grade and take Dewey's spot entirely and kick goals. Is he as good at kicking goals as Dewey? Probably not yet, but he'll probably develop into it. He's extraordinarily talented at everything that he tries to do, so I can't imagine that he wouldn't. Appy's a good goal kicker. I don't particularly have a problem with Appy kicking goals. I'm pretty sure Jerome Luai's kicked goals as well in the past. I'm not too fussed. I don't think that the idea of, like, being over reliant on Adam Dewey for his goal kicking is a good idea anyway, because, like, while he's definitely the best goal kicker we have at the club, he's not it's not like he's so elite that he's that far ahead of Appy that you would, like, not run the most talented center at the club over him. And I don't think that we were planning to at the start of the year. I think at the start of the year he was not going to be named at left center, and therefore I think that we were going to go into the season with a different goal kicker. So the question would be, who was that going to be? Appy?
Yeah, I mean, there's a fair chance. I've been told that Marcassini will go straight to Cup after DPS. I think he'll skip Flegg and Viley. I've also heard that he will come into first grade via the wing. Take that as you will. So I don't think Adam's spot is he's sort of up for questioning there. In terms of
Adam Dewey.
Yeah, Adam Dewey. In terms of
you called him Adam Scott. You've been watching the golf lately or something?
No, but that was the only morning where I've actually been intrigued by golf when he won the US Masters in the tiebreak. Anything else?
Wait, was that today?
No, it was 12 years ago.
Oh, 12 years ago. What a random, like, Adam Scott podcast. Did you know Adam Scott's actually a Tigers fan?
Is he?
Nah, I just made that up.
Oh, that would be believable.
Yeah. It is believable, though, isn't it? All the talk about needing a halfback implies we've stuffed up by signing Jerome. Like, mate, I think we have. Reedy thinks we haven't. That's okay. We're all still kicking on this planet, so we'll find out, hopefully. CB says, how the does Gould walk away from this sorry affair scot-free? CB, he won't, because I'm going to get Rob Bashara. I'm going to get Rob Bashara, and I'm going to get Toby Burke, and I'm going to get fucking your mate, Coaches, and we're going to make the best petition you've ever seen, mate. Because if there's one thing West Tigers podcasters know, it's change.org.
To quote Homer Simpson, first you get the sugar, then you get the power, then you get the women. Phil Gould, he has the sugar, which is the spot on the Channel 9 channels, which buys him power, which then buys him players. And Channel 9 hold all the power in the game. They are... I don't think people fathom how much sway they have in the corridors of power at the National Rugby League. And with Phil Gould as their biggest personality and arguably their most influential non-executive in the world of rugby league, nothing will happen. And it speaks to the blatant corruption of this league. But again, nothing will happen.
Feed him, Jared. Yeah, it speaks to the blatant corruption. Look, it's a good answer. That is how the fuck he walks away from this scot-free. But you know how he doesn't walk away from this scot-free?
A petition.
Ah, yes, a petition. Change.org petition. West Tigers faithful change.org petition. We didn't get to participate in the last one. We're going to lead this one. I'm going to drop the sexiest petition you've ever seen. Blaine says, watched him play rugby on the weekend, talking about Marcassini. He's so much bigger than all the others on the field. Was solid
I saw Blaine the other day. We caught up very briefly, and he said he was going out to watch Mussy, so hopefully he exceeded his already lofty expectations, because I've been talking about him pretty highly. I'm pretty sure that only pussies play rugby union though, so like it's no surprise that like a rugby league player is bigger than rugby union players, because they're all a bunch of cats and pussies and giant babies. Yeah. Agree. Let's not block Fainu, says Ian. We need to see if he's good enough. TI-23, good but not worth the price paid for. Not yet. Anyway, that must be talking about Luai. Culture Bergen. CB going in on Toby. Toby would be handy as long as the chip is on the ice, is on the shoulder. Toby would be handy as long as the chip is on the shoulder. Problem is, once he gets comfortable, does that, well, fuck, CB, you've been drinking, buddy. Try again, fat pal. I think he's saying Sexton might be good with his chip on his shoulder, but once he gets comfortable, will he just revert back to being crap? I think that's what CB meant.
Look, CB, I don't think so. I don't think that Toby Sexton is the sort of player, and this isn't about him personally. I think it's actually more about 24-year-old halfbacks with 58 games in the NRL. I don't think that they actually ever really regress past this point. They either stay what they are or they get better. So I think that Toby Sexton that we've seen now at the Bulldogs is what you would see at the West Tigers at minimum. I think that with a chip on his shoulder, that sort of development that you might get from actually having a little bit extra motivation, when you're kind of as experienced as a guy like Toby Sexton is, what that actually does for you is it proves stuff to yourself. Right. So like if you get that extra bit of motivation, jump out on the field and start doing things you've not done before, you don't actually suddenly go back from that because it's kind of like new patterning new behaviors to your own self model. That's sort of how it works. So I don't think that Toby Sexton's a sort of a player that if that happened, you would see regression from him. I don't think anyone at that point in their career is. It sort of only happens to rookies because they actually find other things in the day-to-day grind, training, off-field distractions and stuff like that. That is what causes the regression. And by the time that you're a 24-year-old with 58 games of first grade playing for the team coming first and stuff like that, all that stuff's kind of already gone. So I feel like that Toby Sexton would be fine. His floor would be what he is now. That's my opinion. Toby, he's a dog supporter. Did you know this about Toby? Up until a few weeks back, they could have been leading the comp. They lost 3 games by 2 or less, 6 points right there. This is the quote. I think he's talking about us, is he?
He is talking about us, so he's obviously in reference to the Para game and the Newcastle and the Warriors game, and obviously the.
Or is he talking about the Cowboys?
No, he's talking. I don't know, but I'm assuming. I'm going to assume he's talking about us. Yeah, it is the fight. It is. I saw a stat. Random stats guy came up with this. The underdog has won 44% of the time this year. It is a genuine coin flip. Imagine who is Joel's asks, do we see Sam Fino changing sides when Latu takes the reins? No. I think that they won't blow up defensive combos, and I think that Samuel just quietly is very much liking playing outside Jerome Luai. Even if it hasn't worked yet, I think he absolutely adores Jerome Luai.
Yeah, and shout out to Joel's, true friend of the podcast. Looks like he's commenting from his business account, Joel's. So feel free to comment in the comments and give your business a shout if that's the case. No, won't be upset. Free marketing here for a friend of the potty. I agree with Jared. I don't think Sam Fino will change sides to the right because I feel like that we will. If Sam Fino moves from the left back row slot, it will be back to the bench and into the middle. That's the future of Sam Fino if he doesn't persist. If we don't persist with him as a left back row, Tony Sukkar is pressuring him for that spot. Kai Pearce-Paul is probably going to come in next year and take the right back row spot. So Sukkar's probably pressuring Alex Seafarth more so than Samuela at this point in time. But for long-term prospects, it's either going to be Samuela on the left or Sukkar on the left, I think, unless we go out and find another left back row.
I agree.
Barry Tui says Knights aren't willing to match the offer KPP gets. That's correct. Hoops said KPP done, if you believe his mail. Toby says he's not a burner account. He's just Toby. Thanks, Toby. It's good to know that you have, a real strong sense of personal identity. Thanks. Respect, buddy. CB says, what's the go with the stream quality, lads? Are you being charged by the pixel? Look, mate, unfortunately, your wife didn't pay her bill to me. So I've had to switch back to dial-up. Toby says, back to what I said, West lost 3 games. Okay, yes, he's talking about West, so off Toby. Anything Quantum Mac, I typed that as you said it. Yeah, that's right. That's how Quantum works. Channel 9 cannot tell Gould what to do. It falls under restriction of trade.
But the NRL can. But I don't think they will.
It also Toby apparently has read Phil Gould's employment contract with Channel 9 because that's certainly not a that's not a persistent clause in a contract. If anything, it's the opposite. Most employment contracts actually do restrict trade. So it's unless you've seen the contract, Toby. I think you're talking Porkies, buddy. I think you're talking Porkies. Toby wants to start a petition to kick South out of the comp. Look, I mean, I have to say, I like Toby. He's enthusiastic. He participates. You're welcome back any week, Toby. We'll get a lot of content out of you. Blaine says Marcy absolutely put a hole in someone's chest to blow up a 3v2. I think he even put the shot on his Insta. CB says he hasn't.
Have a look at it. It's great. Bodied him.
CB says he hasn't been drinking, which is maybe why he doesn't make sense. Hawko emoji reacts. I'm just reading the comments now. Andrew, if we could sign a player like Sexton, I 100% agree with you, but if we're able to land someone like him, we could possibly land someone like him, although he definitely wouldn't come cheap given how bad.
That's the Glengie copy pasta.
Is that actually something Glengie unironically said?
Yeah, he said it about Payne Haas.
Was he like blackout drunk?
No, that was just Glengie being simply.
Are you serious? I thought that was just like some
that was 2
absurd
o'clock
copy
Tuesday afternoon. Glengie at the factory. Quick shit break. Yeah.
If we could sign a player like Haas, I'd 100% agree with you. But if we're able to land someone like him, we could possibly land someone like him, although he definitely wouldn't come cheap given how bad we've been. Although the media would get wind of it first and release it out there, making it harder to land him. I can see the point. It's a valid point.
For people wanting context, a friend of ours
don't give it to them. Don't give it to them.
struggles with words sometimes, many syntax errors. Nonetheless, it's just dumb shit.
Glengie does more than struggle with words. He struggles with reality. He doesn't like it. He doesn't have a good time. He thinks that everything's fucked and everybody sucks. He just has Limp Bizkit break stuff playing in his head 24/7.
He absolutely fucking does.
Get it out. Get it out of his way. That's all I've got to say.
I think it's time to wrap things up. What do you reckon?
Hey, any inside word on if the boys are fired up, fucked off, and ready to make a point?
I hear that it is a much happier camp since Lachlan has been told to stay away from training until his release is finalised. The bye was an opportunity to refresh. I think there was a few players playing busted, but in terms of what mood they're in, we're going to find out on Saturday night.
And to finish it off, we'll go to our good friend Toby, who is actually posting from his personal account, so he's just been doxxed. Toby Argal says, fuck boys, Chad Townsend won a comp. As Cartman says, and there he is right there for some quantum love. If you follow your dreams, you can do anything. If you follow your dreams, you can do anything, Jared. That includes one day maybe being the host of NRL 360. Wouldn't that be something?
Let's talk as faithful episode 35, I think it is. Good luck to everybody this weekend.